Kael stood among the ruins of Thornbrook, the village he once called home now reduced to ash and scattered embers beneath a blood-red sky. The sharp scent of smoke stung his nostrils, mingling with the bitter ache swelling in his chest. His memories of the night before were shattered, fragments of screams and cruel laughter haunting his mind. The soldiers of the black-marked council had come with fire and death, leaving nothing behind. From the shadows emerged a young woman, her dark hair tangled and her eyes fierce with determination. "You shouldn't be here," she said softly, gripping a dagger. "It's not safe." Kael looked up, voice raw and uncertain. "Where else would I go?" She hesitated a moment, then extended her hand. "Then come with me, there's more at stake than you realize." Together, they slipped through the forest under the silver glow of the moon. Saris, her name as mysterious as the magic she carried, spoke with urgency. "They hunt you because of what you carry, the Flameheart crystal. It chose you, Kael. You are the last hope of Emberfall." Confusion knitted his brow. "I don't understand. You will. But first you must remember who you are." Suddenly rustling sounds shattered the quiet. Cloaked figures with glowing red eyes materialized from the trees. Kael's hands trembled at his chest, where the Flameheart crystal pulsed with warm light. A brilliant glow spread, forcing the figures to retreat. Saris smiled. "Your fire is waking." Days passed in a hidden encampment where Kael trained beneath Saris's watchful gaze. Each night dreams seized him. Visions of a throne ablaze, a crown forged from fire, and a brother's cold betrayal. One evening, beneath a starlit sky, Saris placed her hand on Kael's chest. "The Flameheart wants to speak," she whispered. Heat surged within him, igniting a vision. A castle consumed by flames, a shadowed figure's cruel laughter as their father fell. Tears streamed down Kael's face as the name tore from his lips. "Theros," Saris nodded gravely. "Your brother, your greatest enemy." The threat of the black-marked council grew as their forces advanced toward the eastern border. Kael knew hiding was no longer an option. In the war room, lit by flickering candles, Commander Vera fixed Kael with a scrutinizing gaze. "You carry the fire of kings, but are you ready to wield it?" Kael met her gaze firmly. "I have no choice." Saris stepped beside him, voice steady. "He's more ready than he knows." At Redridge Pass, the battle erupted with a fury Kael had never imagined. His sword blazed with newfound power, striking against the forces that sought to crush him. Amidst the chaos, his eyes locked with those of a dark figure draped in shadows. Theros, the brother who had become a symbol of betrayal. Their blades clashed, sparks flying in the cold air. "You're weak, Kael," Theros spat. "The crown was never meant for you." Kael tightened his grip, fire flaring along the edge of his blade. "We'll see." The conflict won. Kael and Saris sought out the Oracle's temple, hidden in the remote Moonvale Mountains. The Oracle awaited them, her gaze deep and knowing. "You carry a heavy burden," she said softly. "To reclaim your crown, you must face what you've forgotten." She handed Kael an ancient scroll inscribed with runes. "This will guide you, but beware, the path is perilous and memories come at a cost." Clutching the scroll, Kael's determination burned brighter than ever. Guided by the scroll, Kael journeyed to the ruins of Emberfall, his ancestral city now a wasteland of shattered stone and silent memories. As he stepped through crumbling arches, whispers filled the air and flickering visions of the past haunted him. His father's throne shattered, his mother's lullaby fading, and the searing betrayal of Theros forever etched into history. A tremor forced him to his knees, the Flameheart crystal blazing fiercely. "Remember," Saris urged, "you are the flame that will ignite the dawn." On the way home, spectral guardians known as the Watchers barred his path. Their hollow voices echoed, warning him to turn back or be lost forever. But Kael stepped forward, the crystal's light growing stronger. Not this time. A fierce battle of shadows against fire erupted, and with Saris's aid, Kael shattered the curse. Yet the Watcher's ominous warning lingered. The final trial approached. One quiet night beside a campfire, Kael and Saris shared a moment of fragile peace. Saris traced a scar on Kael's hand, a mark of his forgotten past. "You're not alone," she whispered. "Whatever comes, I'm with you." Kael smiled, the flickering flames reflecting in his eyes. "Then we face it, together." Under a blood-red moon, Kael stood before the ancient altar where the ember crown once rested. The air crackled with power as the Flameheart crystal flared in response. With steady hands, he reached forward. The crown answered, and a surge of fire and memory flooded through him. His journey was only beginning. Perfect. Here's the continuation of Kael's journey, flowing smoothly and keeping the momentum strong. The power coursing through Kael was unlike anything he had ever known. The Ember Crown's flames wrapped around him like a living thing, filling his veins with a heat that burned away the shadows of doubt and fear. His mind flooded with visions, memories both distant and immediate. Battles fought, voices lost, promises broken. And beneath it all, the unmistakable presence of his brother Theros lurking like a storm on the horizon. Sarah stood close, her hand resting lightly on his arm, steady and unwavering. "The crown has chosen you, Kael, but wielding it will come with a price." Kael's voice was steady, though his heart pounded. "I'm ready for whatever comes." Their respite was short-lived. The skies darkened as messengers arrived, bearing news that the Black-Marked Council had unleashed their most fearsome weapons, shadow beasts that clawed through villages, leaving ruin in their wake. The war was no longer distant, it was at the gates of every home. Kael gathered the resistance leaders beneath the ancient oaks of the Wildwood clearing. Maps unfurled, voices debated tactics, but Kael's eyes remained fixed on the path forward. "We fight not just for survival," he said, "but for the future of every soul this flame touches. Theros is our enemy, but more than that. He's the brother who betrayed us all. We will end his darkness." Plans formed like wildfire. Ambushes, alliances with hidden clans, magical wards to hold back the creeping shadow. Every fighter in the resistance looked to Kael, their hope rekindled by the fire blazing in his gaze. The first battle was fierce. At the ruined bridge over the River Vale, Kael's sword danced like a comet, flames trailing with every strike. Ceres unleashed her seer's magic, weaving illusions that sent enemy forces into confusion. Together, they turned the tide. But victory was tempered by loss. In the heat of battle, a trusted companion fell, his final words a plea to never let the flame die. That night, Kael stood alone atop the ridge, staring at the stars obscured by smoke. The weight of leadership settled upon him heavier than any armor. Memories of his family, the betrayal, the crown, it all pressed down, threatening to consume him. Ceres joined him silently, offering a quiet strength. "The flame inside you is not just power, Kael. It's hope, and hope is stronger than any shadow." He nodded, swallowing the knot in his throat. "Then we keep fighting, for them. For us, for the dawn." The journey ahead was uncertain, darkened by secrets and danger. But Kael knew one truth: his fire was just beginning to burn. The days that followed were a whirlwind of strategy and preparation. Kael and Ceres traveled across the fractured realms, seeking allies among distant clans and hidden enclaves. The Ember Crown weighed heavily on Kael's brow, its flame pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat, reminding him of the immense power and responsibility he now carried. In the northern forests of Elendor they found reluctant warriors, battle-scarred and weary, yet stirred by Kael's fiery resolve. In the shadowed halls of the Silver Spire, ancient mages whispered of prophecies long forgotten, their allegiance won through shared dreams of a realm reborn. Yet even as allies gathered, the Black-Marked Council tightened its grip. Theros' presence was a dark shadow looming over every move Kael made. The older brother's cruelty was matched only by his cunning, and his thirst for the Ember Crown grew with every passing day. One night, beneath the glow of a crescent moon, Kael and Ceres stood atop the cliffs overlooking the shattered sea. The waves crashed violently against the rocks below, mirroring the turmoil in Kael's heart. "Do you ever fear," Ceres asked softly, "that the flame inside you might consume everything you love?" Kael's gaze fixed on the horizon. "I do, but it's a risk I must take. For if I do not wield this fire, no one else will, and that is a fate worse than any darkness." Ceres reached out, intertwining her fingers with his. "Then we face it together." The moment was brief but electric, a promise forged in the quiet before the storm. Their next challenge came swiftly. Scouts reported that Theros had taken the ancient fortress of Blackthorn Keep, a stronghold key to controlling the realm's ley lines, the invisible veins of magic coursing beneath the earth. Kael gathered his forces. The assault would be brutal, the stakes higher than ever. As the battle drums echoed through the valley, Kael raised his sword high, flames roaring to life. "Hold fast," he cried. "For Emberfall, for the dawn!" The clash of steel and spell shook the very ground as brothers met in battle once more. Kael's burning blade against Theros' shadow-forged spear. The war for the Ember Crown was far from over, but Kael's fire blazed brighter than ever, lighting a path through the darkest night. The battle for Blackthorn Keep raged through day and night, a tempest of clashing steel, searing fire, and crackling magic. Kael moved like a storm within the fray, his blade a blazing comet cutting through the darkness. Beside him, Ceres wove her spells, shimmering illusions and piercing light that turned the tide in their favor. Yet amid the chaos, Kael's eyes sought one figure, Theros. His brother's silhouette was a shadowed specter, moving with lethal grace, spear glowing with a dark, unnatural energy. When their gazes locked, the world seemed to narrow until only the two of them remained. Their duel was fierce, the air charged with the energy of flame and shadow. Theros sneered, "You cannot hide behind the light forever, Kael. The shadows are eternal." Kael's voice was unwavering. "Then I'll be the flame that burns them away." Their weapons clashed again, sparks flying like stars. Each strike tested Kael's strength and will, but beneath the physical battle lay a deeper war, the fight for their family's legacy, and the soul of a fractured kingdom. Suddenly, a surge of power from the Flameheart crystal coursed through Kael, imbuing him with renewed vigor. With a decisive strike, he disarmed Theros, the dark spear skittering across the stones. Theros fell to his knees, eyes blazing with fury and defeat. "This isn't over," he hissed. Kael extended a hand, his voice steady but filled with resolve. "It is for now, but there is still a chance for redemption." As the first light of dawn broke over Blackthorn Keep, the resistance rallied and hope bloomed anew. Kael knew the road ahead was perilous, but with Ceres by his side and the flame in his heart, he was ready to face whatever darkness awaited. The sun rose slowly over the scorched stone towers of Blackthorn Keep, painting the battlefield in hues of gold and blood. Smoke drifted like ghosts through broken archways, and the moans of the wounded echoed through the hollow ruins. Kael stood at the highest tower, the ember crown flickering with a quiet, contained fire. Behind him, Ceres approached, her cloak singed and stained with ash. "We've won this battle," she said, "but the war is not done." Kael nodded, his gaze distant. "Theros escaped. Again?" "He's running out of places to hide." Kael wasn't so sure. His brother was like a venomous snake, cornered, yes, but no less dangerous. Theros had retreated into the Whispering Wastes, a cursed desert where time itself bent and twisted. No force had ever pursued him there, not even the black-marked council's enemies. Still, Kael knew what he had to do. That night, a council of leaders gathered. Around the fire sat warriors, mages, seers, and rebel chiefs, men and women from every corner of the realm, now united under one banner. They looked to Kael not just as a warrior, but as a king, not in title yet, but in purpose. He stood before them, eyes fierce with the burden he carried. "I will not ask you to follow me into the Whispering Wastes. The things that live there, they prey on the mind, twisted until you forget who you are. But Theros must be stopped. His darkness seeps into the very bones of this world." "I will go," silence followed, heavy and tense. Then Ceres rose. "You'll go nowhere alone." One by one, the others followed, pledging swords, spells, and loyalty. 2 days later, they entered the Whispering Wastes. The land was cruel, endless dunes beneath a sky that never changed, where echoes whispered old regrets and mirages taunted with impossible dreams. Kael saw visions of his parents alive, of Emberfall untouched, of Ceres lying in his arms, the war long over. The Flameheart crystal kept him grounded, its fire burning away the illusions. But others weren't so lucky. The desert claimed them slowly, memories erased, minds splintered. Yet Ceres remained untouched, her seer's magic protecting them both. At the heart of the desert they found it, a fortress of obsidian rising from the sand like a wound. Theros waited there, surrounded by the cursed remnants of the council, twisted sorcerers bound to shadows, lost to their own power. The final battle loomed. Kael and Theros met alone within the echoing vaults of that black fortress. This time there were no taunts, no tricks. Only fire and shadow, brother against brother. The battle was brutal. The very walls trembled as their powers collided. The crown flared, its full strength pouring through Kael, fueled by purpose, pain, and memory. Theros' shadows screamed in defiance, his own strength driven by jealousy and vengeance. But in the end, fire outshone darkness. Kael stood over his fallen brother, breathing hard. Theros' armor cracked, his eyes filled not with hatred but sorrow. Why did it choose you?" Theros whispered. "Because I didn't want it," Kael said, kneeling beside him. "I only wanted to save what mattered." Theros wept, not out of fear, but from a lifetime of bitterness finally uncoiling. "I'm tired," he said, "let it end." Kael placed a hand over his brother's chest. Fire flared, not to destroy, but to purify. Theris's body turned to ash, but Kael knew the shadow in his brother's soul had lifted, if only at the last breath. The war was over. The cursed fortress collapsed behind them as Kael and Ceres emerged into the sun. Their allies cheered, but Kael's heart was heavy. Victory carried a cost. Weeks later, in the city of Emberfall, rebuilt from its ruins, Kael stood before the people. The Ember Crown now rested upon his head not as a symbol of power, but of sacrifice. He gave no grand speech, only truth. I am not the king you expected. I am the son of fire, the brother of darkness, the last flame of a dying line. I did not ask for this crown, but I will bear it. For you, for the future. The crowd erupted. Later, alone in the palace garden, Ceres joined him. It's over, she said. Kael smiled faintly. No, it's just beginning. She leaned into him, and for the first time in a long time, Kael let himself believe in peace. The flame-heart crystal glowed softly at his chest. Not a weapon anymore, a light to guide the world forward.